Hey everyone, thanks for joining us today. And I've got a great colleague of mine, Melinda Liu. She's an expert massage therapist and mentor to massage therapists in the industry. And I've been talking with her for the past couple months now and really sharing a lot of tips and tricks and things that she's done in her practice in order to really make bank and grow her business to over 6 figures a year as a solo practitioner. And a lot of the things that she's talked about in terms of how she was successful, I use a lot of those concepts myself. So I really wanted to bring her on for two reasons. One, because she's obviously excelling at what she does and she has a lot of experience to be able to share. And number two, that she's starting to see a lot of transitions in the industry, and she works with a lot of massage therapists on being able to stay in the industry and really be relevant and specific to the time. So while she is a massage therapist, a lot of these tips and tricks and strategies I've been finding that I've been using and implementing with chiropractors, other massage therapists, physical therapists, and other health professions. So I'm really excited to have Melinda on here. I really appreciate your time. So maybe just kick it off and tell us a little bit about yourself, a little bit more detail, and kind of what you do and who you help.
Oh, sure. So I've been a massage therapist for 18 years now. I started when I was 21 years old, and I was very fortunate right out the gate to apprentice under master practitioners and healers. And so, like I said, right out the gate, right out of massage school, I had this advanced level one-on-one training that really kind of sped up my learning curve in terms of mastering my craft. And anyone in the holistic arts, that's your first goal. You have to master your craft, whether it's an adjustment, whether it's an acupuncture treatment, whether it's hands-on body work. You have to immerse yourself, and ideally maybe you would spend time with high-level advanced practitioners in the area that you want to focus on. And then obviously it's just immersing yourself in the craft and practicing, getting those hours under your belt, getting those client testimonies built up, so I feel like that's like a given for any practitioner in the field. And after 7+ years or so, then you have a certain level of confidence, a certain level of effectiveness with your work. You know who you are as a practitioner, and your message is clear. You know who your ideal clients are, and then you can start to really leverage and brand that and kind of take yourself to another level. So I kind of started out the gate, like I said, with a high level experience training, and then I immersed myself in the field. And then I still had coaching for the business part, because usually when you first get in it, most people aren't like focused on the business part of it. They're focused on the practice part of it. I mean, actually, if you have great people at hand, it's ideal to get on board with the business part ahead of the time, right from the beginning as well. But that just wasn't the case for me. I was in my 20s and I wasn't real serious about business anyways until I had those 7+ years under my belt. And I was like, I'm really good at what I do. Like, why am I not making better money? How come I'm always struggling to pay my bills every month? And I just didn't value what I was doing in terms of positioning myself as a business, as a high-level practitioner, and I didn't have the structure in place. So I hired mentors and business coaches to help me with my confidence in business. And I learned how to brand and market myself as a higher level practitioner that was worth paying a higher price for. And I learned about, putting clients through programs and series of sessions to get these better results for people. And so during that time, I was able to follow this plan, follow this structure, implement it, and I became one of the most successful massage therapists in the country, earning in the top 1%. My message that I have been teaching before COVID was make bank in private practice. And like I said, when you position yourself, when you have the right structure and you have the, my 4 pillars that I taught before is you have the right mindset, you have the right techniques, meaning you mastered your craft, self-care, which I personally think we should be examples of what we're preaching to clients. If we're in the health and wellness field, we should be an example of someone who lives a health and wellness lifestyle. So self-care is part of that. And then business, and really really honing in those business skills, your business acumen for longevity, and then you can make bank in private practice as a practitioner. And I was earning over 100,000 for easily 7 years, over 125,000 for the last 3 or 4 years, which is remarkable because the average income for a massage therapist is like 30,000 a year, especially if they're working for a company. Even therapists who work for themselves, who don't have that kind of higher level training and structure and coaching, they don't have the confidence or the skills to really go for those higher numbers. So I'm grateful that I was sort of brought along my whole career by high level mentors and educators and business people and coaches. And I actually give them most of the credit. I was a great student, and I'm passionate about what I do, and I love what I do, and I'm receptive. Like you can teach me something and I will follow through on it. So I'll give myself that credit. But I would say that's kind of my background, sort of pre-COVID.
For sure. And I think that's really important to note. It's like, you've had a lot of successes but you've invested in yourself. You've invested in your techniques, you've invested in your business, your mindset, your outlook, self-care, and everything else in order to be there. So I think, I also think it's important to note that you weren't working a crazy amount of hours, because I know sometimes people will be like, well, yeah, I made $120,000 a year, but I worked like 100 hours a week or whatever it might be, right? And you were working a lot less.
I went the route of, let me just charge as much as I can in my area, because I wanted to position myself as the best hands-on body worker in the area. And I really had the confidence and the skills to back that up. And so I just went, let me charge higher rates. And obviously you have to be in a community where they can support those rates. So that's part of it. And that way you don't have to kill yourself with a million hours, right? So I was doing at the most 20, 22 appointments a week, and those would be 60 or 90-minute sessions.
For sure. And what were some key things that you took away as you were growing your business? So like you were struggling in the kind of the beginning, paying bills, it was stressful, not making as much money. And then you started to, invest in yourself, your business. What were some of the key things that really started to get the ball rolling for you, and really successful? And probably these are things that would be successful back then as much as they are now, for example.
You know what? Some of it's really basic, Brad. I didn't even have like a brand. I didn't even have like a business name or a business brand. I didn't have a strong online presence at all. This is so typical of therapists from like back, in the day in my, generation, where we just sort of operated word of mouth, right? I was like, well, I'm good at what I do, so I operate word of mouth. But really having the official logo, the business name, the LLC, I had a great website that I invested in, and I had a Google business listing. I actually had an online presence. Then I went into social media, and I had an Instagram presence and a Facebook presence. And I think a lot of that also just made me feel more official, that I was taking this seriously. This wasn't just like, me flying by the seat of my pants. And so there was some kind of paradigm shift there when I was just doing these really basic things. But also in other areas of my life, started to focus and get clear about my goals. Like if I'm going to make this kind of money, I need to have 20 appointments a week, or I need to be selling these many high-end packages to clients per month. And so I got really, and this is basic, I got really clear about my numbers. I was obsessed with my numbers, and I had to reach monthly goals. And, monthly goals reached leads to your annual goal. And so I was just so consistent. And part of that consistency is my commitment. I made the time. I pulled back from other areas of my life that I was wasting energy. I was wasting time. I'm not a time waster. I don't watch hours of Netflix. I don't like do too much entertainment where I'm like traveling to festivals and things like that. Like I'm here to work, and I'm here to make bank. So I think my consistency is part of why I've been so successful is like I show up. I mean, making 125,000 a year, you can't like take off too much time. You can't get sick. You can't like you have to show up for those hours. So I think commitment and my mindset around that was part of my success too.
For sure. And let's talk like maybe a little bit about that mindset, because I know you're a huge, huge advocate for mindset. I'm definitely am as well. I don't
Yeah.
talk a ton about it with, and kind of the stuff that I do, but like with clients, I really talk about mindset and kind of implementing it, because, we really need to have an entrepreneurial mindset and kind of resilient mindset. And if you don't, things kind of get a little bit challenging. So maybe touch base with some of, you know, strategies and things that you've done that you've kind of found.
Yeah, well, honestly, hiring coaches was the first step for me just because my confidence and my self-esteem wasn't there yet. Like to go from 60,000 a year to 125,000 a year, like my mindset wasn't there. I didn't believe that about myself. But you know what? My coaches and my mentors believed in me. And so I relied on their confidence in me. They believed I could do it. And so like I said, I think community or mentors where you have someone kind of boosting you up, like you can do this, Melinda, you're totally capable. All you have to do is this. You can do it. Like I needed that support until my own confidence level got there. And I was like, oh my God, I just made 100,000 a year. Like that's crazy. Like you almost can't even believe that you did it. But then the next year you're like, I did it again. And then the third year you're like, this is just how I live. Like you'd have to like bridge yourself to these higher mindsets where you believe in your own success. And so having other people to help me with that. The other thing was studying sort of law of attraction principles and abundance principles. And I believe in the power of our vibration and our emotional vibrations. And so you have to manage, I used to call it like a funk management. Because when you get in a funk and you're like depressed and you're like, oh, I can't do anything. No one's booking, no one's on my schedule. And you just kind of go into this like depression and like, oh, no one wants to, schedule. And you stay in this funk, and that really kills your momentum for success. It's like you just wasted 2 or 3 weeks like wallowing in your, like victimhood. And so having the mindset of like, you know what? I only have 2 on the books this week, but I bet that I could get 10 more. All I have to do are these things, and I'm just going to open the window of possibility that my books are going to fill up. And so that's how you have to feel, is like, it's happening. It's done. Like I'm committed to 10 more clients booking this week, versus saying, oh, well, I guess no one's scheduling. It's just having a take charge mentality, and also being a solution. This is the one thing that I was taught from my mentors early on, is being solution oriented. What's the problems that you're facing and dealing with? And then you have to quickly find solutions, and don't wallow in a funk, and don't waste time, and don't waste momentum.
Yeah, I think that's super important. And like, do you have any, tips or experiences like when you got stuck into that? Because inevitably it's going to happen. I always say you're going to hit a point, like I still get it, just randomly, it just hits you, and you're just like, for no reason, sometimes just like, oh man, this is not working, or this isn't going right, or like, why isn't this working, or whatever. It's like, do you have any tips, or how do you kind of walk through that process to get yourself out and back on track?
Yeah, I mean, to me, it does come down to self-care, because I need to go for a walk in the woods. I need to take a nap. I need to take a salt bath. I need a massage myself, and I need to change my state. I think Tony Robbins talks a lot about that. That's his whole thing, is changing your state. Like you have to get an ice bath or something to like get yourself to like snap out of this state where you're stuck, where you're wallowing. And so I go to self-care routines, and I take, or I exercise or I dance to fun music, and I'm just trying to like shake myself out of a state. I was taught that by my mentors too. Actually, they called it shaking it out, because they said, when an animal gets shot, this is kind of like an extreme example. When an animal gets shot, it drops to the ground and shakes, because it's trying to shake out this trauma. that's happened, their
Mhm.
nervous system shakes. And so like moving, I have a movement background. And so moving for me creates energy flow versus stagnation, because the funk feels like stagnant energy, like you're stuck, like you're not moving. So if I get up and I walk or I dance or I do yoga or I just like literally move, then I'm like shaking out my nervous system, and or just getting the ball rolling again so that I'm not feeling stagnant. Yeah, I mean, everyone has their methods that work for them. You kind of have to find what works for you.
Yeah, for sure. The main thing is getting out of that situation and being able to realize that, hey, it's a bad, position to be in. I've got to get myself out of that. And I know, like, I'm a huge fan of Dan Sullivan, and he's another fellow Canadian who talks a lot about, structuring your days, and he uses the term free days and game days and buffer days. So like game day is like, hey, this is something, really important that's going to happen today. Buffer days are kind of like just you're treating and doing whatever. And then, you know, uh, free days are times that you take completely away from your business in order to reflect back and to focus and to kind of recharge. So I think, your mindset and your ability to take care of yourself and really to understand where you are, to know if you're feeling overworked. And I see this a lot. I'm not sure if you ever felt this, but like you kind of start to tune into yourself at that higher level or vibration where you're able to say like, hey, I need some time away, or you're not just kind of pushing through it and sort of existing, so to speak.
Yeah, it's interesting because sometimes you need to unplug and just rest. But sometimes I feel like I need to like take action and move, and it's just like kind of knowing what's the right action in the moment. So if I am feeling exhausted and overwhelmed, fatigued, I will just unplug, shut down, rest. I'm not going online. I just need like a day or half a day even to myself. But then there's sometimes where you have the to-do list that's not getting done, and just checking off some of those to-dos kind of keeps the ball rolling. Or like if I haven't exercised in a week, and it's like, okay, this is really getting behind and I'm losing energy and I'm losing muscle mass, and that's not going to lead to positive moods and like myself functioning at the highest level. Peak performance is a big thing for entrepreneurs, and biohacking, even though I kind of hate those terms, but that's why a lot of highly successful people are very rigid and serious about their self-care and their health and wellness. So they have access to their brain and their body, and they're putting out their best work, and they're showing up as their best to their clients and their products and services.
Totally get it. And kind of going back to where, some of the things that made you really successful as well in kind of the business realm. We really talked about self-care, getting mentors, finding the right proven frameworks and making sure that we're filling in the gaps, and mindset and everything else. What are like some other tips and things that you found that really allowed you to be successful, whether that's with rebookings, being able to charge higher premiums, creating a better experience? Like maybe touch base on some of those kind of key takeaways that someone could, listen to this and sort of start thinking and implement.
Well, I'll just use this as an opportunity. I know we both share the same mentality around this. I definitely think you want to look at what is all of the training that I have to offer? What is all the education? What's the value that I can offer? And you create a suite of products and services. In other words, the days where we just rely on one income, one service as our income, you're just limiting yourself. That's all. It's limited. I think we should have a wide variety of things that we offer now in terms of products and services, in person, online, some things that can be residual, recurring, some bigger offerings, high priced offerings, middle price offerings, low tier. So diversity, I suppose, is the word that I want to leave in terms of setting yourself up for longer term success and sustainable success.
And yeah, I totally agree with that. I'm always hugely into being able to have multiple streams of revenue, especially because we saw a lot of things change with COVID. And it's like, can I deliver services in other ways? And even as massage therapists, are there ways that we can deliver our services differently? And even just outside of just doing treatments, because treatments one-on-one, while, it's great, it's not super leverageable. And you're kind of at the, kind of under the gun of like what the clients want. If anything goes wrong, the government shuts down, you now have a loss of business. So, and I was a therapist, practicing in private practice as a solo practitioner. I always did personal training and actual therapy. So what I started to do over time was I would do massage, but I would do corrective exercise. I would do it in groups with people. I would do online components. So I started very early in my career, being able to implement some of those components. I totally agree. So maybe share some things that you found, because I know you've done things from selling packages and other things in your business and products and so on to be able to bridge the gap and create other streams.
Okay, so I'll share quickly. With my clients, I created 6-month programs where it was a combination of weekly massage, private yoga, and health coaching. And I sold those 6-month programs to like 10 of my clients for $4,800 each. So that was a way that I could utilize all of my skills. I'm also a yoga instructor. I also am a health coach. So that was a great way I could take like I said, take what your skills and your trainings are and try to package it all up to offer your clients, something just beyond massage therapy. And then I realized, hey, I'm successful in business. Other massage therapists want to learn from me. And they were reaching out like, can you teach us how to make bank in private practice? So I started a whole mentoring and coaching business for massage therapists. It happened organically, which is nice. I'm like, do people want to learn from me? Yes, they do. So then the last 3 years, I've been offering 6-month coaching programs for massage therapists. And then COVID happened and my massage practice was closed. And then actually all my massage mentees and their 6-month program had to be on pause. So like pretty much those main income streams for me just dropped. But I pivoted and I created a massage membership so that it wasn't like as daunting as a high price 6-month program. It's just a low price membership. They're still getting support. They can still learn from me. They're still in a like-minded community to help them through these times. And they can learn from expert masterclasses like Brad. And so I pivoted to a membership from the high-end program. And for my massage clients, obviously I wasn't seeing them in person. I signed up for like 10 different product companies, from like high-end medical devices to consumable like CBD and collagen products. I just signed up for 10 different companies so that I can still sell my massage clients wellness products while we're in lockdown. And I'm so glad that I jumped to do those things during lockdown, because I have more revenue streams now that are not based on my hands-on work. And it's also not based on massage therapists doing hands-on work. So I feel like we have to adapt to the times. This is just the era we're living in, but we have so many options being in the wellness field available to us. Like it really, the world is still our oyster if we're willing to adapt and change and be open to change.
Well, yeah, I love that. And that's a really big thing I've noticed too. It's like, it's opened up a lot of opportunities, and goes back to mindset. Hey, this is the scenario right now. We can't control government or viruses and all this other stuff. If we could, we obviously you wouldn't be listening to this. You'd be, in some more mastermind fancy group or something like that, because you'd be super rich, solving those problems. So, I think it's super important to be able to have those streams of income. And now you're in a position, I know, where you're able to travel a little bit more. I know you recently moved and whatnot. So you've got more options to be able to have more leverage in your life and make money still, but not necessarily having to trade time for money. I think that's a really big thing. So even if you're a solo practitioner, are there ways to create leverage in your business to make money? So for me, I know doing exercise routines and having programs like that people, I dealt a lot with active adults and athletes, so they needed workout routines. So it was our way to create that. It allowed me to not have to treat quite as much, but I still had residual coming in from other income streams. So I know that you've got that, and I think it's super, super important. So
yeah, I'll always have clients that I do work with hands-on. And before it was full-time, and then I had these other streams as sort of side income. Now I'm just reversing that. Now I want these other streams to be my primary income, and I'll treat part-time hands-on. And that's just my decision because I'm moving to a new place and I'd like to have more freedom to travel. But everyone has to decide for themselves what combination of things works best for them. I'm not really for a one size fits all structure for everyone. We're living in an era where you have to uniquely design the career and the lifestyle for you, and that's going to be different for everybody.
Totally get it. So, I really appreciate you kind of sharing these things and making, yourself known that, yeah, you can make good money being a solo practitioner, but a lot comes down to mindset, having the right strategies, having the right support, accountability, and ultimately, people who have kind of been there and done that, so to speak. But it also allows you to have people like yourself who are unique in what they're doing and realizing that, hey, there's other ways to make money, there's other ways to fulfill your passion and help other people. Don't necessarily have to just burn yourself out, especially if you're, kind of feeling stuck. So, I really appreciate you kind of sharing some of these things. So, tell some people like, hey, if they want to learn more about you, they want to connect with you, a little bit about your program, because I know that you work with massage therapists as well. Tell us like a little bit about how they can reach you and what you've got to help fill in the gaps.
Sure. So I have two businesses. melindaloo.com, melindaloo, Loo.com, is my massage mentoring site. And that is where you'll find the opportunity to book a strategy call with me if you just want to pick my brain for an hour, and you can just have like a simple call to kind of introduce, some ideas. I really try to give as much advice as I can on those calls. So I feel like that initial call is really valuable. And if you want to continue being a part of my offerings, the membership I have is Massage Success Mentoring Membership. And that is 2 group coaching calls, 2 expert master classes. It's a like-minded community of people who are warriors, practitioners, entrepreneurs, and nurturers, I say. And this is what I'm teaching now to thrive in this new era of COVID. We're all going to adapt. We're going to be successful no matter what happens in the world. So that's what the membership is about. And you can have an option to upgrade that membership if you want more private calls with myself. My other business is Essential Bodywork and Wellness, which I was ahead of my time and I named it Essential. Essential Bodywork and Wellness. And that's where you'll find my bodywork practice and all of the products that I'm selling online that are trying to recreate. I tried to recreate an experience through products. If my clients weren't able to come in for a session, how could I give them kind of the similar feeling and results through products? So I'm really proud of that, actually.
Awesome. And I'll make sure I link everything below so someone can check it out in the post in the future.
Cool.
Yeah, I really appreciate you coming on, sharing some of your experiences, some of the things that have allowed you to be really successful and making over $120,000 a year as a solo practitioner, massage therapist at that. And then some of the mindset changes and some of the things that you've done to create other streams and ultimately, how you're able to shift your business to be successful and really I guess, put together the lifestyle that you automatically want to be able to have. So really appreciate you coming on and sharing some of those things. Anything else you wanted to add before we sign off?
Thanks, Brad.
No problem. Thanks again.
Bye.
Bye.